Ladies and gentlemen, whether you follow chess closely, day to day, or hardly at all, you should know that chess prodigies are getting younger and younger. 10 years old, 11 years old, they're already at the strength of a seasoned master that has played for many, many decades. And yes, I'm speaking from experience. I'm 30, and I hold the same title, which is International Master, as 10-year-olds. But there's one prodigy right now at the beginning of 2026 that is taking over the spotlight. And his name is Yazkan Erdomush, and he is from Turkey. And this dude is exceptional. Magnus Carlsen has said that he is the strongest 14-year-old that has ever been seen in the history of the game of chess. He's almost 2,700 rating, which would mean he's like top 25 in the world. And I'm going to bring you a game that he played today that was unreal. He played one of the strongest players on the planet, Vladimir Fedoseev, 2,700 plus player, and he blew him off the board. And that's all I have for you. And I'm going to show you some more games. We are, of course, following the tournament Tata Steel, which is played every year in the Netherlands. This is kind of like the Wimbledon of chess in terms of the quality of the players playing, not in terms of the location or anything like that. Hardly. I don't think you can compare the village of Ivanchuk in the Netherlands to London. But I'd like to show you this game because it is a real breathtaker. Erdogmus plays. He lost his last couple of games. He had a good start to the tournament, then he cooled off, and it's cool to see if he will recover, because as a young player playing against players who are 28, 29, and he's only 14, and yeah, in chess, that's kind of crazy. You can have such an age gap, an experience gap, but can he bounce back? Can he win a couple of games? In this one, we see what's known as the Petrov defense. It's a totally symmetrical position, kind of totally symmetrical is maybe slightly exaggerated. That would be totally symmetrical, but very, very close. White begins applying pressure to the black position in the form of queen b3, and now knight a6. And here white has multiple choices. White can play c takes on d5. White can advance with the c pawn to the c5 square. White can play moves like knight to c3, targeting the knight on the e4 square. But here white just plays a3. He spends quite a long time at Erdomush. He likes to think. He likes to take his time in the opening, and afterward he prevents knight to b4. But black can now equalize quite comfortably with various moves, but he plays h6. h6 is completely reasonable. White cannot put the bishop or the knight on g5 ever in the future. And now Erdomush plays knight d2. He's targeting the knight on e4. He wants to get rid of it, and likely in the long run, white will apply pressure along these diagonals. This queen could drop back. Also, the bishop could come here, and the queen could go there, and then he could launch an attack onto h7. There's also some positions where the queen could rotate like this, but obviously you would need to clear a little bit of material. Now here, black plays knight f6. He's trying to trade off the pieces. So we have rook e8, queen e8. Erdomush pushes back the bishop. And what's nice here is that, black is going to struggle. These pieces are a little bit stuck, especially these two. This knight will likely have to go back, or black will have to play b6. White now plays knight f1, completely reasonable move. He's going to finish the development of these two pieces, and then he's going to bring his rook to the middle. Knight b8, obviously. That's what Fedoseev was always trying to do. I know it looks crazy to, move the knight out and then move it back, and if you're watching this and you have experience in chess, you're like, why is he moving like that? Because I'm pretty sure all the beginner videos tell me not to move like that. You got to get this good to break the rules a little bit. Black sort of faked that he wanted to bring the knight out that way. Now he's going to bring it around the other way. Knight to e4, right? Jumping back into the middle, looking to bring out the bishop as well, bring out the knight. This loss of time by black, knight f6, followed by knight e4, followed by back to f6, followed by, going back to e4. That is a bit of a loss of time indeed. I mean, it's not just looking like that to the naked eye or one wearing glasses. It's just looking like that generally. Erdomush plays knight h5. Knight h5 is a declaration of very nasty intentions. The idea here is to obviously just put various pressure on the king. You really cannot play the move g6 because then the f6 square is very tender and white might take on e4 and then, try to get in the knight. And what black has to do here is just play a move like knight here, and then white's best option is to trade this bishop off. That is what the computer says. Fedoseev plays bishop d8. And it's quite clear that he's not really respecting the integrity of the pieces. The pieces should be out and about. They should be participating. They should be happy. They should be fulfilled. They're not doing that in this position. And Erdomush, he senses that. So he develops the bishop to that diagonal. And now not only does Fedoseev not respect the true power of the pieces, he's setting them all up on the back rank a little bit. Now he also provokes the opponent with a kingside pawn move. He weakens his king while 6 of the 7 important pieces are on the last rank of the board. Something just doesn't feel right. When you play chess that is slightly deviant like this, Against the right opponent, bad things can happen. And he is playing the right opponent, or in his case, the wrong opponent. The right opponent, wrong opponent. Bishop c7 is a crazy move. Look at this incredible move. Bishop c7. Now, this move looks like a broadcast error. What the heck is going on? Well, the idea is to sack the bishop away from the defensive f6 so that when it is taken, it doesn't have to be taken, but the idea was to get rid of the bishop anyway, then white goes here. And for the next move, white is threatening to move knight to f6, so you can actually not take this white bishop. And Erdomush senses that in this very moment, he is now going to have enough time to bring enough pieces to the attack. And Black's king fell asleep after the party. That's basically what happened. The Black king threw a party, but fell asleep. Windows of the house are open. There's mosquitoes. There's rain. It's going to be really, really bad. It's going to be really bad. All right? Black goes knight d7. Now bishop to f5. Very simple move. He wants to take the knight because he wants to go knight f6. Now we're going to see this defense by Black. He plays queen d8, trying to defend the square again. And here comes rook e1. White's moves are easy peasy. All right? Rook to e1. King h8, so that this move is no longer a check. And white jumps in with the queen as well. The queen comes in. Queen e8. I mean, queen e8 is literally checkmate incoming, because the Black king is completely defenseless. Now the only move is knight f8. Now if Fedoseev just gets a couple moves, he's going to trade the bishop, he's going to bring the queen, he's going to bring the rook, or maybe he's not going to be able to do any of those moves. Actually, it doesn't even matter if you trade the bishops. It doesn't even matter, but knight e5. Look at this incredible move from the young man. Knight e5 threatening knight f7. If bishop e5, queen e5, and Black is getting mated, so the only move is queen to e7. Here, white looks to be winning with the move knight g6, followed by queen e7, but you would take it with the knight defending the queen, so that doesn't quite work. He plays takes, and queen h3. And these four pieces are terrorizing the Black position. Queen takes c8 is a free rook. Knight to g6 wins the queen as well now. So the only move here is rook e8. Now here you could play knight g6 and win the queen, but that would be letting him off easy. He jumps back with the knight and repositions it on the f5 square. Queen takes h6. Look at this game. This, Erdomush is beating the man double his age like he owes him money. Queen to e6, rook e3. So now the rook can't be taken on the back rank. Now you can move this knight, let's say to g4, for example. Queen f6, knight takes h6, bulldozing the Black king, and everything Fedoseev did in this game is coming back to hurt. It's coming back to bite. Because after queen takes h6, queen f5 check, and he's threatening everything. He's threatening to take on f7, he's threatening knight f7, threatening knight g4, Black goes knight to g6, queen takes f7, queen g7, he takes the rook, and Fedoseev goes here, rook h3, knight to h4, and in this game, he allows the young man to checkmate him with pawn to g4 mate. He walks the king as a form of surrender to his young opponent. Pawn to g4 is mate. It's never too late to actually lose. Queen b1 is mate. So just so you know, it's never too late to lose a game of chess. But g4 on the board, Fedoseev, a good sport about it, doesn't resign, plays into the checkmate. What a game from the 14-year-old sensation. This kid is on another level. He is 6.5 out of 12 in this tournament. He has 4 wins and only 3 losses. He's up 17 rating points. And overall, he's up to like 2680 in the live ratings. This young man from Turkey right now, 14 years of age, is ranked like number 40 in the world. It's mind-blowing. It is absolutely mind-blowing. Now, the next game I would like to show you, is, oh, you don't want to leave this recap just yet. After this, you're allowed to leave. You're allowed to go somewhere. It's really brutal. It's really, really brutal. Here we go. Hans Niemann. Gukesh. Now, when you look at this game, it's a very exciting matchup because I'm looking for Gukesh to bounce back in the tournament after a couple of defeats. He's looking to win, and I'm looking for Hans to get a win against the sitting world champion and to get up to 2740. Hans's rating is like 2733 right now. He's just around top 15 in the world. So we go for a Spanish, bishop b5, a4, a6, bishop a4. Now we have a normal Spanish. Everything is good. And now after a4, you know, bishop b7, this is like a little bit of an anti-martial type of thing. You know, you're not letting Black play this move d5, so you kind of play d3, you play some sideline. It's not exactly an anti-martial, but actually I think technically it qualifies when you play with a4 and d3. Regardless, all right? The boys trade some pieces. Hans plays knight c3. And it's a couple of young 27, 30s, you know, just playing Spanish. Now, players like Magnus and many others have made their bread and butter over their careers playing the Marshal, Bishop B4, and Gukesh gives up the dark squared Bishop. This is quite a decision. He just gives away the dark squared Bishop completely and plays solidly with the move pawn to D6. White plays Queen B1. It's quite clear, right? He's trying to play on the queen side. And maybe Queen B2 or C4. He gets rid of his doubled pawn, and visually, I like White's position a lot. But it's not easy to play. I mean, Black has very good structure here. He's looking to trade the light squared Bishop. He's even looking to trade the light squared Bishop in a way that it damages White's pawn structure. And in this position, Hans Niemann, for literally no reason at all, and I do mean this, for literally no reason at all, sacrifices his knight on E5. He could have just went knight E1 and H3 and played a more... He sacks the knight, and the idea here is after Queen E5, he has the two bishops, he has the pressure, and he's sort of banking on the fact that for the two pawns plus the very strong dark squared bishop and ideas like bishop takes H6, GH, Queen F6, you know, his position's looking quite nice. Knight G6. Now the queen backs up, and Gukesh has this position to work with. This is going to take a little while for Black to kind of get moving here. And White, meanwhile, has relatively easy play. It's like it's a deceivingly strong position for White. So Gukesh tries to get a queen trade and send the game into an endgame. The game gets really spicy. Hans tries to justify his sacrifice. Gukesh playing really nice chess, really trying to get the queen off the board, and ultimately, after some 15, 20 moves, ends up in a position that looks like this, where G4 appears, takes, and Rook B3. Gukesh is completely winning. The sacrifice got nowhere. Hans now no longer has two pawns. He only has one pawn for the position, one pawn for everything. He has 1 minute on the clock against 20 for Gukesh. Bishop E1, C4, and in this position, this is what we have. So Black has an extra piece, and he has some pawns. Now, if you trade all the pawns, probably it's a draw. Two knights cannot beat a bishop. I'm not even sure a bishop and a knight can beat a bishop, but that's not a question for me. That's a question for the computer. Now, in this position with Black, what do? You play King G8, you play King F7, King E6, Knight E7. This knight's a little stuck, so you try to push the G pawn, then get the knight back, then go Knight E8. I mean, that's what you slowly do. You slowly maneuver, you know, Yo, Gukesh sacks his knight! I was like, what the... Knight takes F4 is a move you play after struggling to win with two knights over the course of like 40 moves. He sacks the knight. He calculates this out and is like, he must feel like the king and the knight will stop the pawn and these two pawns will win the game for Black. And to be honest with you, it kind of makes sense, because if Hans is not able to push this pawn forward and Black just stands there on E6 and pushes these pawns, yeah. White's only hope here is to sack the bishop for two of the pawns. Now, it's equal, but you gotta give credit. And by the way, why did he sack his knight? He did not need to do that. Obviously, he thought for 15 minutes, and he is a billion times better of a player than me. But I just wonder, like, why didn't he at least try to make a few moves before committing to this? Now, he commits to this, and to his defense, he actually gets a winning position. In a couple of moves, he plays the move G5, and he gets exactly where he wants, and this looks like a totally winning endgame for Black. I have to be very honest, right? Bishop B4, King F7 is the only way to draw this, and then you have to play King to D6. And Hans doesn't, he plays Bishop to B4, King F7, and then he plays King D5, and King D5 is a losing move. King D6 is equal. I can't explain this to you. I think this move is losing because basically in some positions, the knight can give a check on F4. Like, that's it. That's the only thing I can understand. And there are just some positions the king needs to be on D6, maybe to help escort the pawn. It can't be on D5. And here Gukesh is winning with the move G4. Again, not so simple. It's not easy at all here. It's not easy to calculate this, but he doesn't play it. And now Hans puts the king on D6. And now when Black starts moving the pawns, because the white king is so far advanced and is just moving back and forth, Black is unable to give a check anywhere. He doesn't have a winning idea. And Hans just holds this position, and this is a fortress. This is a defensive fortress. There is no way for Gukesh to get through in this position. He couldn't play g3 because after g3, king e4, if you did something like this, you would just get takes, king f3. That was always the idea. Hans Niemann saves an unfathomably lost position. Like, he just sacrificed the piece. I'm not saying this is obvious or anything like that, and it looked, but I mean, I don't know. Like, why didn't he just move his king a little bit at first? I don't get it. I don't understand how these guys play chess sometimes. I'm not saying I would do a better job, but like, I look to them like, yo, Hans sacrificing his knight is crazy to me. But he actually got a really good position, but then Gukesh just traded the queens, which is really instructive. Like, you just trade the queens, and now white cannot get anything. I don't know. This was a wild game. Meanwhile, you got other guys who are trying to win the tournament. So Nordirbeck is tied for first. So the tournament has been all over the place. The games have been crazy. Look at this game from Abdusattorov. This was an amazing game. So Bluebaum plays a QGD, plays a Queen's Gambit decline, and let it be known, Nordirbeck is playing Bluebaum, but Sindarov is watching, because he has to play him in the candidates, and everybody there plays everybody twice. So this is a Queen's Gambit decline. Bishop d3, rook e8. I think this position has been reached 1.5 billion times. This is some sort of new idea. Like, I think white can play h3 and bishop g3 and set up like this. Maybe I'm mistaken. There's a lot of QGDs. But I think this is an inaccuracy. I think there's some lines where black starts launching the queenside pawns and also tries to trade the bishop. In this game, though, this is what happens. And here, white creates a perfect situation to play the move f4 in one go, as opposed to, usually f3 and e4 is what white goes for when the pieces are set up all like this. You try to play for f3 and e4. In this game, however, Bluebaum trades like this and gives Nordirbeck the completely perfect setup of his opening, right? Like, absolutely perfect. And this is not a good sign for Bluebaum, because if he's targetable in Queen's Gambit declines in the candidates, literally every single person is going to play Queen's Gambit decline against him. So it's not a good sign from the opening. But then, Bluebaum completely outplays Nordirbeck. So he plays knight to f8, great knight, nice little defensive move, and here Nordirbeck needed to probably back up with his light squared bishop. Instead, he traded on c5, like this knight for this bishop, and when e4, he played very concretely. Bluebaum was very accurate, queen a5, pawn takes, check here, wins the pawn back, and white, meanwhile, regains a little bit of the initiative here, doesn't repeat the moves, plays queen b2, but actually, Bluebaum equalizes. He's just up 2 pawns. You might wonder, how on earth did that happen, by the way? Like, where did his 2 pawns come from? Well, you gotta realize, in this position, Nordirbeck took, he lost the center pawn, right? He lost that pawn. And then he was trying to win it back, and then he never actually won it back. He just, and now he's got a 2-pawn disadvantage, and black is up 17 minutes. But rook f7 comes in, and here black has to play a couple of accurate moves, and he's gonna be okay. Nordirbeck is setting up some nasty business here, maybe. Rook f6 and rook d7. So, actually, the one way to defend here with black would be to bring this rook in and target the knight. That's a very important move, because after rook e8, after rook c8, at least you always have ideas to get over here, and then you can play queen d8 back. Queen d8 right away doesn't work, because I think some ideas like queen b7, hitting everything, you have to get the queen back at the right moment. Instead, Bluebaum plays queen c7, and this move loses the game on the spot, because of knight b5, followed by the move rook takes f6. And Nordirbeck Abdusattorov sacrifices the rook, but it has absolutely nothing to do with rook d7, which is probably what Bluebaum had calculated. It has to do with queen f2. And queen f2 is the end of the game, because you stop queen f1, you stop queen c1, queen f4, and you threaten queen f6, and you threaten rook d7. And actually, Bluebaum lost 2 games in this tournament to Uzbeks. He lost to Sindarov, and he lost to Nordirbeck in literally 1 move. He just lost the game on the spot. And that might very well be the difference in the candidates, because sometimes you make a mistake and you're worse, and sometimes, actually, like against Bluebaum, Giri did the same thing. You just lose the game on the spot. And after queen f2, queen c1, this is the best you're gonna get, but it's two knights for the rook. And Nordirbeck is an absolute unit here. He grabs the rook, he's up a piece, and he wins, because he gets knight f6 followed by rook h7 mate. And he's going to win both pawns. And Nordirbeck Abdusattorov is winning Tata Steel with a round to go. We will look at the standings in a moment. I would like to show you one more game by a player who has provided us with tons of entertainment, and that is Vincent Keymer. He is playing the man who is struggling. He's playing the qualifier from the previous year's Challengers tournament, and in this game he takes him a little bit out of theory, and he's like, he's like, Tai, yeah, you want to play an endgame versus me, yeah? I'm Vincent Keymer, yeah, I'm playing very solid in this tournament, but I will play endgame no problem with you, okay, yeah? And then castles, knight a6. And let's see Vincent Keymer in his best surgery, outfit. He's gonna just methodically get the bishop off the board. He's corralling the light squared bishop. Now he grabs it. He has the bishop pair. He sacrifices the knight to get the rook. This is very instructive. Giving up a knight and then a bishop for a rook is not usually good. But if you can get at least 2 pawns, it's generally the threshold where it could be good. Now, in many positions, getting 2 pawns and a rook for a knight and a bishop is still bad, even though you're up a point, because the pieces coordinate really, really well together. But in this position, and this is correctly done by Keymer, in this particular position, because black does not have a lot of mobility with these pieces, the bishop, the knight, none of them can really move due to white's very strong structure. This is just good. And Vincent trades the rooks and plays this game like he's a Norwegian recent father. And you might know him as Magnus Carlsen. Yeah, King e4, Rook g1 just plays an absolutely perfect game. And I mean, I do have to say this, like, I don't want to compare Keymer to Magnus, like he's Vincent Keymer. He's a fantastic player in his own right, but he wins this game just beautifully. Every pawn goes up the board. This is restricted, this is coming, this is coming. The rook is hitting the knight, and so the bishop always has to protect it. And here black just resigns because he can't defend the position. I mean, you will promote at least one of the pawns. And Vincent Keymer has now provided us 10 decisive games in this tournament. And 2 draws. Which is crazy. Like, and he's 6-4 in those games. And he's only up 0.3 points. So the standings in this... Well, look, I'd like to show you a couple of challengers games first. First of all, this was just a fun game. Ivanchuk versus Faustino. Faustino in this game played the Nimso Indian, played DC, very solid line. The bishop goes out to a6. Ivanchuk is looking to put some pressure. He's obviously trying to win the tournament, but I'm not really sure he's thinking about that too much. King e2 is just an awesome move you get to play here, and the rook is coming. Faustino plays knight a5. Very interesting game here. White playing a lot of improving moves like h3, for example. He spent 35 minutes pushing a pawn. This is why chess will never be on television, by the way. Like, we have to speed things up a little bit. But rook c1 is coming. Maybe rook b1 as well to maybe go b4, this type of stuff. Faustino looking to equalize against the legend. Rook c, and he actually does. He repositions the knight beautifully. They trade, and they trade some pieces, and Faustino has to keep the queen on the board, queen d8, and this is just a draw. There's nothing you can do here. Black threatening this, black with the strong pawn. The black king is actually stronger than the white king, I would argue. And Ivanchuk looks around, but there's probably nothing here. He tries a little bit, and the players ultimately in this position just make a draw. They just repeat. There's no way to make progress. In this position, you could have gone queen h6, but there would have been queen e5, and this king just can't escape. If king h3, you play queen b2. This hangs, a little dangerous. And the young man from Argentina draws against Ivanchuk, which is amazing. Andy Woodward also made a draw, but one guy who did not make a draw was Aydin Suleymanli. In this game, white went for a bishop g5 Italian. In the bishop g5 Italian, you are hoping that black ends up playing g5. That is what you are trying to do. You are putting the bishop here. You are waving the red flag in front of the bull. Now, the matador usually wins, and it's not a particularly ethical thing. But the matador usually wins. So we are going to see if Marc-Andrea is going to scare the bull and ultimately put the dagger in it or not. So bishop g3. Look at this. Black plays king h8. Black plays knight h7. He's ready. He's ready with g6. He's ready with f5. Is he going to strike? No, he's staying very, very patient. g6, not the right move. f5 needed to be played, but he wants to play f5 supported by the pawn. Meanwhile, Marc-Andrea does not choose the right plan. If someone is trying to strike at you here, you have to strike in the center. Instead, he plays on the queen side, not quite understanding the demands of the position. And Aydin here, he's just preparing. I mean, he can go f5 even now, but at some point he's going to play f5, and it turns out to be the worst possible moment, by the way. Like, it's just, but this game is super complicated, right? Like, He could have played f5 here. He could have played f5 like in this position, maybe. He could have played f5 in this position. He could have played f5. He couldn't have played f5 in this position. It's not possible. But every single move, he could have played the move f5. He finally does, and white plays h3. White also not understanding the demands of the position. He has to take. He has to open up the position. He has to get black to take him, to open up the center more, d4. He goes h3. And the thing about these, I have studied these Italians, so you don't have to. In these Italians, with the bishop on g5, and then putting over here and allowing this attack, if you're not good with your nervous system about how this attack looks, like I'm not, I don't understand where I'm supposed to put any of my pieces, black's attack is so easy because let me tell you, all he has to do is play g5, h5, and g4, and you will get checkmated. And it looks like Marc-Andre is doing a very nice job on the other side of the board. Like he's about to take on b7, but he plays queen c4. Black now takes on a6. Now, white's attack is completely neutered. Like he has to do something. But it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what black should do, right? And white's position is actually quite miserable. He strikes in the center, but here comes h5. This is not for the faint of heart. D takes, the center is locked. Now what do? You play bishop b5 so you can get rid of the knight and you can take on e5. Black takes. Now the white rook has been drawn away from the position. Black plays bishop f6. Black's next move is g4. What do? All right, you get out of the way. That all makes sense. It doesn't matter. I'm going to go g4 anyway. What is white's next move? He takes on g4. Now what is white's next move? Apparently the only thing you can do here is start running with the king. I'm not even joking. He goes here. Knight e7. We trade the pieces. Maybe white can make a couple trades and save the position. Knight b3. Or maybe Aydin is just simply going to bulldoze us on the king side. Here comes queen g4. Here comes knight g5. And before you know it, the king is literally back on his home square. Just everybody's gone. Everybody perished. Everybody went their own ways. And you give it just a little bit more time, and black builds up a completely devastating attack. Rook f8, knight e6, queen h1. The queen is hanging. You actually could not take the queen in this position because knight g6 would have won the queen back, which is kind of sick. Instead, the queen goes to h1. And it's so insane here that there is a double check anywhere you want in this position, and none of them do anything. And rook f2 is such a nasty move. With the pawn, cutting the communication between all the pieces, queen g1 is made. And after 12 rounds of action in the Masters section, Nodirbek Abdusattorov leads the field by half a point. In the last round, he plays with the black pieces against Arjun Erigaisi, who is in 13th out of 14th place, which is mind-blowing. Sindarov with 7.5 plays black against Tai Van Nguyen in the last round. It's the best pairing you can ask for. I mean, I'm just saying, he has 3 points out of 12. It's no insult. But if you could play anybody in the last round of this tournament playing for first place, you would probably play the lowest seed. I'm just saying. Obviously, you would prefer to have the white pieces. Sindarov can win the tournament. Nodirbek with a win wins the tournament. Jordan, by the way, just having a great event. He's having an awesome time. Meanwhile, in the challengers, things are also kind of crazy. Aydin and Andy Woodward both have 9 points. If they tie for first, I actually don't even know what happens. Send them both to the Masters section next year. Ivanchuk, meanwhile, clear third. Legends just, they never die. I mean, they're amazing. Marc-Andre there in 4th place. Bibisar having a fantastic tournament. Faustino, my boy, 6.5. Like, hello. So a lot of fun stuff can happen. It's obviously just a 3-horse race up top. Technically, Ivanchuk could win the tournament. If Woodward and Suleymanli both lose, that would be completely insane. Andy in the last round plays Ervin Lamy. Aydin plays Velimir Ivic. And Ivanchuk plays Yufa. That's all I have for you today. Tomorrow begins a new holiday event on Chessly, my educational platform. Look forward to it. Get out of here.